Hi everyone, I'm John C. Morley, the host of the JMOR Tech Talk Show and Inspirations for Your Life. Well, hello there, everyone. It is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. It's great to be with you. Today is Friday. It's November 21st. Just about less than a week away till Thanksgiving. That's basically a week from yesterday. All right, guys, I do want to thank you. If this is your very first time joining me on the JMOR Tech Talk Show, welcome and thank you for joining me. If you're coming back many times, well, I want to say welcome back. And of course, thank you for choosing to follow my content and make it part of your day. This is the show that we talk all about technology so that you can understand it and so that you can avoid things that can be problematic. All right, guys. So, first of all, let me give you the topic of the show for tonight. And, we're almost through series 4. I cannot believe that we are almost through series 4 and we'll be on the air literally 4 years in a row. And we'll be starting our 5th year on January 1st, 2026. The show's title is Tech Turbulence, Hacks, Layoffs, and Streaming Wars Unleashed. Series 4, show number 48. And guys, incidentally, if you have not checked out BelieveMeAchieve.com, what are you waiting for? Go check it out. That is after the show. You can go check out BelieveMeAchieve.com for my short-form content, long-form content, articles, and so much more. Hey, and don't forget to get something. Maybe you're thirsty. I have my RO water here. Maybe you're hungry. Maybe you want a snack or another beverage, or maybe you want fruits, nuts, or maybe, I don't know, maybe you want something salty or something sweet, like a cake or cookie. Feel free to get that and hurry on back to the show. Let's get the show started because, ladies and gentlemen, I have a lot to share with you this evening on the JMOR Tech Talk Show. And I think you guys are going to find it, how can I say, pretty fascinating because tech is constantly morphing and changing. And if you're not understanding it, well, not only are you behind it, but you're missing the potential to be able to grow in your life. So welcome, everyone, to the JMOR Tech Talk Show. I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. I'm an engineer, marketing specialist, video producer, podcast host, coach, graduate student, and above all, a passionate lifelong learner. And it is my privilege and my pleasure to be with you here on the JMOR Tech Talk Show. On this specific episode tonight, as I said, it's all about tech turbulence, the hacks, the layoffs, and streaming wars as they get unleashed. Diving very deep into the latest, wildest, and most disruptive stories shaking up America and the world, the tech world, that is. So buckle up, everyone. These breaking stories blur the lines between, well, innovation and upheaval, all to help you stay on one step ahead in our ever-evolving digital future. Let's get right in there, guys. Number one, Disney stream surge. Yes, YouTube TV battle leaves fans hanging. Disney's streaming numbers are skyrocketing. That's true. But the fierce face-off with YouTube TV is leaving sports fans, well, a little bit dismayed. And shall we say, out in the cold, no pun intended, without a jacket. With profits that are going up, but major content disputes are brewing. The future of live TV might just look a lot different pretty soon, and a whole lot more, well, digital. And I think when we remember some of these wars, I know there was one going on with, I believe it was Food Network a few years ago. And I wanted to watch Iron Chef, and I couldn't because, well, Food Network was off the air. And, of course, it was during this week. So they did it on, I think it was on Channel 50 or Channel 13. And it was great that they did that because, everybody was really wanting to watch the program. So I'm really happy, that they did that. But as I said, Disney is really starting to go through a little bit of a conundrum right now. A very fierce fight with YouTube TV and leaving the fans, like I said, in limbo. And shares down, not to mention 8%. I'm sure they're going to plummet down even lower if this keeps happening. Can Disney win this battle for your screens, or does old school TV risk fading out as streaming starts to dominate? I mean, nobody really watches TV anymore. I know many years ago, I actually canceled my TV subscription and just stream. And if I want a channel, then I purchase it if I need it. But I think that's a very important thing, is to realize, how are we moving forward? How are we consuming content? Is it in print? Is it online? Is it streaming YouTube? Is it podcast? What is it that is causing us, to get our information? And I think a lot of the information we're seeing out there is being channeled to us in a way that maybe we're not very happy with. And so a lot of companies are doing this because, they want to save money. I get that they want to save money. Trust me, I get it. All right. But at the end of the day, we have to realize one thing. Even though they want to make profits and things like that, we've got to do what's right for the greater good of all concerned. Because like I said, we have to do what's right even when no one else is watching. No pun intended when we talk about TV there. Well, our next story deals with the infamous Verizon, right? Whether it's an iPhone, whether it's an Android, or some other flip phone. Verizon decides to slash 15,000 jobs. This is like an abomination. The telecom world is getting rocked, and Verizon's massive layoff and new franchise model have sent shockwaves across the entire, telecom industry. Is this a sign of digital transformation, survival tactics, or a move that could leave thousands behind as automation and new tech, take over? So now you're probably saying to me, John, and this is a good question. So why is Verizon laying off 15,000 people? Well, they're saying 13,000, 15,000, tomato. It's very close. As part of the major restructuring under new CEO Dan Schulman to reduce costs, simplify operations, and reorient the company to better serve customers, and I'm sure to stuff a little more money in his pocket, the company is facing increased competition and a recent loss of postpaid phone customers, and aims to improve its cost structure to better invest in its customer value proposition. These layoffs are also accompanied by an effort to reduce the company's reliance on outside labor. The thing is with all these companies, if you've noticed that these companies, when you call them, Verizon doesn't even have customer service 24 hours a day. Do you know that? Yes. So Verizon customer service is not 24 hours. And I think that's a big challenge for a lot of people to understand. It's not 24 hours anymore. It used to be. And so, for example, different accounts and billing support is 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Okay. And Monday and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. On Sundays, while technical support for wireless and home internet is available only 8 a.m. to 12 a.m. So a little bit longer, but still it's not 24 hours. And I think this is a big, big problem. And then there's the big, mess between how do you reach Verizon wireless or Verizon LAN? It's like this just big mess. And now companies like Verizon are trying to get in your back pocket to become your telephony provider. They're having trouble providing service in some areas. And now they're trying to dip into providing, telephony. So one of my clients that I've had for many, many years, I come in and I see all these phones on the desk. And I'm like, I'll just call the person Joe. I'm like, Joe, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I don't know. My sister and my brother, they're trying to cut costs. And okay, fine. So they put these phones in, which has, I think Verizon calls it Tel Talk or something like that. Anyway, they're yay links, but that doesn't matter. And so they set these up, and then they set up like a $39 or $49 router. And they have phones that are more than 800, 900 feet apart. That's not working. Now, when you have 10 phones that are 1,500 feet apart or 800 feet apart, that's just not working. So they tried it, and the service kept dropping. And I'm talking about service that is LAN service, right? But it's wireless, and it was just a complete disaster. Then you know what they did? They farmed out the implementation of this to some company that you had to get on the phone. I mean, that is just so pitiful and so poor. It's just crazy. They're trying to get more money out of us. But, the thing is, they don't understand that it's about providing service and doing it well. Don't try to be a heart surgeon, a barber, right? And a landscaper, don't do that because, something is going to fail. You've got a niche. That's very, very important. And I got to tell you, I'm very disappointed with what Verizon's doing. Will I leave them? I don't know. Right now, they're okay. And if we had to, so is Verizon the top? They're considered top wireless carriers. So who is anybody better than Verizon? They say T-Mobile is better for raw speed. I don't know if I believe that. And so I think what's going on is it's a price war. And then you've got incompetencies, and then you got things like towers not working. And they don't really seem very customer service oriented. I mean, I'm just noticing this. And if you pay one price or another price, they rope you into things. And I think that's a real problem for a lot of people. That's the thing. They get roped in. And so, I remember when Verizon was just selling cell phones. I'm not talking about the home side. I'm talking about the wireless side. But now the wireless side is trying to become your telephony company, like for businesses. And then when you have a problem, the sales rep is in Timbuktu. He's not reachable. I know for this one client I had, I got the guy's cell phone. I called him. He never called me back. So you want to know why Verizon's having problems? It's because they're not delivering customer service. I mean, that's just a no-brainer. And I don't mean the one to give you bad news here. I mean, yes, they have some good services, but is their service stellar? I don't think so. The customer service is not stellar. It's not as bad as Amazon, but it's not stellar, okay? So the new CEO is making some bold moves to compete, but will these cuts help the company stay ahead or leave workers behind in the changing telecom landscape? The question is, will Verizon fire more people, in 2026? It's unclear, but the company is in the process of significant layoffs and job cuts now in the Q4 of 2025 as part of a major restructuring under its new CEO that I mentioned. So current layoffs are happening. The reason for the cuts, as I said, the layoffs are part of the restructuring to lower costs and align the company with new, you got it, guys, AI-enabled direction. That could be dangerous. While the company is undergoing major changes now, there's no official information to indicate whether additional layoffs will occur in 2026. But rest assured, if they're not making their margin, their numbers, I absolutely believe that they're going to be firing people. So a department that might have 50 people in it or 30 people in it might lose one or two. You might say, gee, that's not much, but there's a very high probability that you could be the one that was fired from that department. A few of my friends I talked to is like, oh, we're safe. We're safe for now. But what does safe for now really mean? And Zalando fights European Union rules, platform shakeup looms, and Zalando is taking its fight against strict European Union online platform rules to the highest courts. So this battle could redraw the map for every digital marketplace, potentially changing how your favorite online shops and social platforms, well, operate across Europe. Number 4, Apple blocked in the UK billion-dollar App Store fallout. This is a mess. Apple just hit a giant wall in the United Kingdom with billions at stake as it loses an appeal over App Store commissions. With consumer payouts looming, is the age of unchecked big tech control over app markets ending, or will Apple find a way to keep its walled garden intact? We already know that they're getting under scrutiny for so many things. But what's really going on, guys? What's really happening? I think we're seeing this emergence. I think AI is being abused in a lot of ways, to be, quite honest with you. And, people are starting to realize that they need to cut back. That's what we're seeing. So Zalando's your top fashion retailer. It's taking its fight over the strict European Union content rules to the highest court. And the new regulations could impact every online service out there, from media to supermarkets. The result could shake up how digital performers and platforms operate across Europe. And I think this is going to be a big thing, as we mentioned. But as I was saying to you also about what's going on with these things, Apple is really having some challenges. Apple faces the billion-dollar UK App Store ruling appeal block. So Apple just got shut down in the effort to appeal a United Kingdom ruling over unfair App Store commissions. Now it could face damages topping up to, at least for now, 1.3 billion. Is big tech finally losing control of app pricing? App Store users may soon see a big payout. That's a lot to take in. That's just an awful lot. And I can tell you that a lot of people sometimes don't understand what's going on. So they decide to make things more confusing. And as they make them more confusing, then suddenly, well, it gets people interested to want to pursue more. Why pursue more? I think it's because they think there's a faster way to do things. Okay? A faster way to do things. And if there's a faster way to do things, then how do we go from point A to point B? I mean, how do we do that? I think it becomes a little bit challenging for a lot of people, because here we are, we're following one standard, and the next day, blip, the whole thing just changes like right before our eyes. And Google is up to their nonsense again. So Google's being forced. They're not doing it out of the kindness of their heart. Let me just share that. Google pays 40 million. South Africa tackles the big tech. South Africa's bold move demanding Google pay 40 million, million, and complying with new media transparency rules might set a new precedence for global tech accountability. It might. This could open doors for other nations to demand fair digital ecosystems for local players. Number 6, Uber tests in-app video privacy versus driver safety clash. So Uber's new in-app video recording tool aims to protect drivers in India, but it's stirring up some heated debates on privacy. Encrypted and auto-deleting after a week, these videos could help resolve disputes or simply spark a wider privacy firestorm. So what happens is you get in the vehicle, and you've probably been in vehicles before where, there's a sign telling you you're being recorded, but it's kind of obvious when you see the camera. And so, it's funny, you ask the person about the camera, and they don't understand anything, right? But it's their camera. It's like they paid money to have the camera in there. They didn't get it from Uber. They didn't get it from Lyft. They put it in there because they don't want disputes, right? And if they don't want disputes, and then we have a concern about people's privacy, I think that could be a really big problem for a lot of people, Okay. Um, and that could be an issue that is going to domino even more, not just today, not just tomorrow, but it's going to be continuing throughout the world. All right. As the different things progress forward. I mean, I think Google, Amazon, a lot of these other big companies, they do what they have to. What do they always say? It's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission. I don't think that's a very smart thing. I think that's a bad way of approaching it. And if it's a bad way of approaching it, then that could be a problem. And so, what do we need to do? I think we've got to be conscious about what's going on. And if we're truly conscious about what's going on, only then can we make a choice on which way we want to go, right? I think that's a very, very, important thing to understand. We have to understand, what that means and how that's going to change, like a reaction, how that's going to change a result. And I think that could be a little bit challenging for some people. Why? I think it's because people are being given misinformation. Okay. And the misinformation is coming because people are too concerned about the dollar and not concerned about everybody else. I've said you've got to practice gratitude, but you've also got to practice doing the right thing even when no one else is watching. That's pretty tough, right? When no one else is watching, you've got to practice gratitude and you've got to do the right thing all the time. I mean, again, not just when it's convenient, not just when it's easy, because anybody can do it, guys, when it's easy. All right. That's kind of like a no-brainer. But I think the confusion comes in because a lot of people don't really understand. They understand like how things are happening, why things are happening, like this whole thing with Uber, right? Like what they're doing. It's insane. So when we think about all this, it becomes this mess, if you ask me, a very, very big mess. And I think it's going to get worse, unfortunately, before it gets better. At number 7, a global police bust, major cybercrime rings, crypto and data stolen, international police collaboration, and have smashed 3 cybercrime rings, recovering millions in stolen crypto and data. But as soon as one ring is stopped, are we just playing a global game of digital whack-a-mole? Because another one pops up. Like, you ever played whack-a-mole? How many of you ever played whack-a-mole? So let me just say, what is the game whack-a-mole? How do I explain this to you guys easily? So it's whack-a-mole. It's basically this game, and they have these, they call them moles, but whatever. They pop up, and you have to bang one down. As soon as you bang one down, another pops up. And that's kind of how security is. You know, you address one thing, but then bam, it's like suddenly now you've got to address something else. And I think a lot of times when we think about these things, people get a little bit, they get confused. And the reason they get confused is because they're being given misinformation. Misinformation. That's a very interesting thing, guys. Misinformation. And I can tell you guys that misinformation happens. You know why? Because people are after money. People are after doing things in a way that can be, how can I say, in a way that can be confusing for some. And that confusion can cause people more money, more issues, right? But if we get the wrong information, right? You might figure, well, John, what's the big deal if we get wrong information? Well, it costs time, it costs effort, right? It costs money. That's something that I think a lot of people don't really understand. That what's going on in our world happens because of things that are transforming or transponding around us. Okay. I think that's something, again, that a lot of people just don't get it. And I'll tell you that being present is a big part of moving forward. And when we think about these things like what just happened, right? The whack-a-mole. I mean, when they go through all the trouble to close down, let's say, a bad gang or something that's conducting all kinds of heists and stuff like that, it could be a big problem. But when we say, is it whack-a-mole? Whack-a-mole is a fun game, but it's annoying because things pop up, and as you get better with it, they pop even faster. Like as soon as I get one, and shutting a rink down. I don't know if you guys know, if we had to think about this, how much, if I had to ask everyone this question, do you know the answer to this? How much money does it take to shut an average crime rink down? How much money? Well, there's no specific dollar amount. In 2016, the U.S. spent over $295 billion on criminal analysis of the justice system. The cost of individual crimes varied from homicides to $22,000 to $44,000, rapes $2,000 to $5,000, robberies $600 to $1,300, burglaries $200 to $600. So I think it just depends on the area. It could depend on the specific case. So they're all very varied, right? Number 8, guys. Amazon fires up piracy crackdown. Streaming apps out there, Amazon is taking no prisoners anymore, and it's wiping privacy apps off Fire TV worldwide and blocking clever hacks. Sports streams are under threat too, and the free ride is ending now for pirates. Everywhere, unless new loopholes emerge, there's going to be problems. I mean, even Microsoft now, when you install something, and if you have not installed it and you go to reinstall it before you forget to install it on the other computer, it's going to tell you, hey, you only have one license, and 1 + 1 makes 2, and you need to remove one. Before it was more on the honor system. Now it's more like the honor system, no, it's counting immediately. So when we think about these things, and we think about, how they emerge, it can be really crazy. When I talk about what's going on at Amazon, basically, I use the analogy when I did the reel that, Amazon is no longer allowing certain applications. So as I said, Amazon's blocking piracy apps on Fire TV. And Amazon is banning illegal streaming apps on Fire TV sticks everywhere. Sideload and VPN hacks won't work anymore. Sports piracy is about to get much more difficult. Will this move finally put an end to free streams, or will pirates find a new way? I think it's going to stop people for a little while, but I don't think it's going to cause them to, basically stop permanently. It's going to give them enough time to stop so they can come back and they can realize what's going on, or like what's not going on. I think that's a huge thing to, to understand what is going on and, and what's not going on. And so when we think about like the stuff I'm talking about, like I just talked about, the crime rank, and now this thing with Amazon is doing this. I'll tell you why. Because anytime Amazon loses money, they want to go after. I mean, I think any company is kind of like that, right? That's no surprise. But so, how much was Amazon losing on all the Fire Stick piracy, right? How much do you think they're losing if we had to look at that number? Well, they haven't publicly announced the number, okay? But they have said it's been significant direct financial loss. And losses are primarily incurred by broadcasters and current owners who are estimated to lose, you ready, guys? Billions of dollars in revenue annually due to illegal streaming facilitated by devices like the Fire TV stick. So are there other products out there? Yes, that can let you do that. Yeah, but the problem is that these devices aren't supported. And in essence, what you're real well, in essence, in truth, in reality, you're stealing. You are stealing. I know several of my friends when I was younger, they have all these channels, and then they put a filter on with a little screw, and then suddenly they don't have they get all the channels. But now the channels are all encrypted digitally, so that doesn't work. But do you really want to steal cable? I mean, do you really want to do that? Like, that's just so bad. It's almost like taking candy from a baby, right? Like, that's bad because the kid can't defend himself, right? So I think we'll have to just definitely keep on the brink to say, what's going on and why things are going on. But I do sense, guys, that there'll be going to be a lot of changes in our world. And those changes are going to help us understand why things are evolving this way. Why? That's the question. Big multi-million question, $1 million question, guys, is why. And number 9, guys, Sony. As our friends at Sony, they launch Monster Hunt MMO. Horizon goes mobile. Sony's Horizon universe leaps onto mobile and PCs, unleashing monster hunts and multiplayer chaos in quote-unquote Steel Frontiers, ready to create your hero and dive into epic digital battles for glory. The games are on, guys, and I think this is only the beginning. We're going to see a lot more of this kind of content because I think many people out in our world, they are seeking a thrill. They're seeking games that are going to be more than, you win, you lose. They're seeking a lot more than that. And I know for those of you out there that are following and listening to what I'm saying, you're like, well, John, this never happens to me, or this happens to me every day. So Sony's universe explodes, as I said, onto the mobile and the PC with the Steel Frontiers, the new free-to-play MMO. Hunt colossal machines, team up or compete, and create your own hero in epic Deathlands. So, ready for the wildest multiplayer monster battles yet? Well, they're coming. So you might be asking, it's a very, very good question. So what is a gaming MMO? So, massive multiplayer online. That's it. Or sometimes they call it massively multiplayer online. So a lot of people want to be able to play with other players because, well, it challenges them. And, a lot of them have the headsets. And by them having these headsets, it makes life so interesting because now it's like you feel like you're right in the room with the person. So you're talking, but it's a way that gets us to communicate like we haven't before. And I think I know it is. That's a game changer, guys. That's a very, very big game changer. Number 10, guys. KC police files were hacked. Misconduct secrets were exposed. A stunning hack is exposed in Kansas City's police misconduct files, revealing years of hidden abuse, dishonesty, and false arrests. Now, long-buried secrets are public, and law enforcement is becoming accountable in the spotlight. I'm sure they're not happy with those things. No, definitely not. But, when we think about all these things, when we think about the ways that bad actors exploit people, even cops or lawyers, whatever, it's really, I gotta tell you, it's really pitiful. It is really pitiful that they can do stuff like that. Yeah, that they can just do what they want to do. And if we know that people are doing things just because, then we've got to be more on our game, on the top of our game. Number 11, guys, the United States cyber exec sells secrets to Russia. This is insane. 0-day scandal. In an unprecedented betrayal, a United States cyber executive sold top secret exploits to Russia while still tasked with national defense. The fallout from this 0-day scandal is sending tremors through the cybersecurity community and beyond at large. And when you work in a position like that and you do something just for a buck, first of all, my level of, let's say, respect for you has just kind of taken a big nose tank. And, people say, well, I'm doing it for the money, but there's other things you can do to get money, right? So I think that's a real, important thing. And the United States border is setting a record for phone searches. That's right. Privacy is under fire. Yes. So South U.S. border privacy fears are benevolent with us, rising with the United States border agents searching more personal phones than ever. Digital privacy is on the trial. From basic checks to advanced forensics, every traveler's device could be under the microscope. Are your rights at risk? I think it's a great question. Do they need probable cause? I would think they do, but I have a hunch they're probably not filing that. I'm just have that strong hunch. And ladies and gentlemen, ICE. No, not ICE you have in the fridge. That's Immigration's Custom Enforcement. So ICE's Texas shadow network contractor deportations expanded. So ICE is quietly building a vast shadow network with private contractors transporting detainees 24/7 across Texas. And this industrial scale operation is raising tough questions about oversight and the future of immigration and the enforcement that they put forward. I mean, I get what they're doing. I get their job, but I think we have to do it in a humane way, right? Wouldn't you kind of agree? I would. Number 14, guys, this is a real favorite of mine, being an engineer. The Louvre, the jewel heist. Could this whole robbery have been avoided? Smart geometry could have stopped it. A daring lure jewel heist has revealed shocking security flaws and a forgotten 50-year-old math problem. And this has been the missing piece to stopping it. Sometimes the best solutions are hidden in plain sight. So I think that's important to understand. And when we think about this heist, I want to talk about a little more about, this heist. So how could, let's say, how could the Louvre heist been prevented by a 50-year-old math problem? I have to tell you that this math problem, okay, that we're talking about it's pretty simple, but it works with geometry, right? And so there was a famous mathematician that I'll get to in just a minute, but he talks about the whole concept of angles, right? Polygons, etc. And so he said the answer turns out, and this gentleman that I'm going to talk to in a minute here was a pretty amazing guy. And he found this out in 1978. His name was Stephen Fisk. So Stephen Fisk is a mathematics professor at Bowdoin College in Maine, United States. And he came up with a proof considered to be one of the most elegant in all of mathematics ever. One of these lower limits, okay, causes the answer. So he came with a proof considered to be, like I said, one of the best. And the lower limit on the number of cameras needed to be able to have, well, total security. His strategy was to divide the gallery up into triangles. Check out the left image that we'll have on one wall and the right image and compare different things. And his strategy was to divide them into triangles and checking out the left image from one side, the right image, and going back and forth. And he then proved that each vertex of each triangle could be colored with 1 or 3 colors, such that all the triangles have different colored vertices, as we see when we do this. And this is known as the 3 coloring of the vertices. So triangles are convex polygons, and so a camera positioned at any vertex, or indeed anywhere in the triangle, can see every point in that triangle. Because every triangle has vertices with each of the 3 colors, if we pick just one of the colors and place the camera at the position, well, they will be able to see pretty much every triangle in the home. Everybody is part of it in the gallery. And I think the fact that, a simple math problem, and how does the math problem work? Okay, so you take the number of corners, basically. Let's say there's 15 corners. You take 15 and you divide that number by 3. And by dividing it by the number 3, okay, you come up with 5. So what is 5? 5 would mean that we need 5 360-degree security cameras. So why didn't the lure do something like this? They claim they're redoing things, but it's funny, nobody really reacts to something until it becomes a public nightmare. And I know what you're saying to me, John, like how did this all happen? First, where they entered, I mean, the people going in, they were Chinese people, and they had workman clothes on. And just because you have workman clothes on doesn't mean you're safe. I know in many buildings, they check the workers just as they check the employees, because you think they're going to blend in. Even hospitals, right? You think a hospital worker is fine. But a lot of people dress up as hospital workers. So there's these added checks that we need to do, unfortunately. And with these checks, we have to make sure that we are verifying things within a reasonable doubt. There is no reasonable doubt. So in the case of here, with them going up like the side, there were no cameras over there. And they literally used a crane on the side of the building. They broke into the lure and they stole these precious things. So you might say, gee, John, well, how did they break into the lure? So I think this is a pretty interesting thing. So the thieves broke into the lure by using a truck-mounted electric ladder to reach a second-floor balcony. This was in October of 2025, just recently. And they cut through a window with power tools to enter the Apollo Gallery. They stole several pieces of jewelry before fleeing on scooters. Having executed the heist in under 10 minutes, the group, consisting of 4 individuals, used the ladder to access the gallery and threaten guards before smashing display cases to take the jewels. So I think when we can understand, how this works, and if you've ever been to the lure before, it's a pretty amazing place. How they keep all these crown jewels. Basically, they keep them in a way that, because again, they're responsible for the royal crowns and things like that. And I think that's a very, very important thing. What they did, and so the whole concept of them stealing this is something that is still a bit of a mystery to a lot of people. The fact that it happened. 7 minutes, guys, is all it took for them to creatively, let's say, meander their way, and 8 days before the police to announce the first arrests in the brazen theft that happened. So on October 19th, 4 masked thieves stole 8 pieces of jewelry. from the Louvre, valued at, you ready, guys? 102, not dollars, million dollars. Yeah. Sparking a national outcry and nationwide manhunt. The daring heist took just 7 minutes, leaving investigators searching for answers as to how one of the world's most secure museums was robbed in such a brief window of time. Just 8 days later, French police announced that 2 people had been arrested in connection to the theft. As a nationwide manhunt continues for the remaining 2 perpetrators, the other 2 have not been captured at this time yet. So, in this minute-by-minute play, 9:30 a.m. is how it all started, just to give you how this worked. And the thieves arrived at the Louvre. A truck with an extensible ladder arrived at the Louvre's sign-facing side. The thieves raised the ladder in order to reach a second-floor balcony to enter the museum. And this was per the police. And so the Louvre had only been open for about half an hour at the time, because it opens at 9. Again, this is pretty amazing. At 9:30, basically at 9:34, the break-in and the theft occurred. 2 of the thieves, dressed as construction workers, scaled the ladder and used an angle grinder to cut through a window in the Apollo Gallery, just a few rooms away from where the Mona Lisa is displayed. The thieves then smashed the 2 display cases using the angular grinder and removed 8 pieces of jewelry belonging to Emperor Napoleon and his wife. This was according, obviously, to the police, but this is pretty hefty. 9:37 a.m. The alarm is triggered. The museum alarm was triggered, alerting museum staff and authorities to the theft. 9:37 a.m. They broke in at precisely 9:34. 9:38, they escaped. Within 1 minute of the alarm going off, they escaped. That's pretty amazing, guys. Fewer than 4 minutes after they broke into the gallery, the thieves fled, descending the ladder and escaping onto motorbikes, heading southeast toward A6 highway and the city of Lyon. So, in their hasty escape, the robbers dropped one of the stolen pieces of jewelry, the crown of Empress Eugenie, which was adorned with over 1,000 diamonds. The crown was recovered, but unfortunately was damaged. Police arrived minutes later and ultimately found 2 angle grinders, a blowtorch, gasoline, gloves, a walkie-talkie, a blanket, and the crown at the scene. Police also found a yellow vest that was apparently dropped by one of the fleeing perpetrators at the corner of the Pont de Soleil and Avenue of Henry IV, several blocks from the Louvre. Wow, guys. 10:34, the theft is publicly announced. A robbery took place in the morning. 10:37, the Louvre announced it is now closed. So that was very interesting. It started early in the morning. They knew about the theft at 9, the alarm was 9:37, but it took them basically an hour, to decide to close the Louvre. Like, why would you take so long? Makes no sense to me. It makes no sense because they messed up. They even admit they messed up. So the big question is, what does the Louvre need to do to beef up security? What do they need to do? So to enhance security after the recent crown jewel heist, the Louvre is installing new surveillance cameras and an anti-intrusion system, creating a new security coordinator position and increasing exterior security measures like anti-vehicle barriers. Other measures include upgrading technical facilities, reevaluating the modernizing security protocols and the governance in place, and accelerating security upgrades from its long-term modernization plan. So those are some pretty amazing things, guys. Installing the new cameras, the exterior security system, anti-intrusion and anti-vehicle ramming devices are installing nearby the public roads, creating a new security role person, accelerating security modernization, upgrading technical infrastructures, and improving governance and protocols. And I think if they would have done their homework and they would have done audits, like banks do all the time, right? They do internal audits to make sure that nothing is going to happen. They want to catch the audit now before the person comes in that would be the real audit. So they do like a pre-audit to hopefully catch things. So a 360 camera is pretty powerful, and you'll see a lot of schools, colleges, medical buildings, they're putting in these 360 cameras. They're not that expensive. So you might be asking me, John, how much, and that's a good question, how much is a good 360 security camera? So it's going to vary, guys. It's going to vary. They have some that are from $40 and then they can go up. So, how much is, let's say, the best 360 security camera? And I think when I share this with you, you're probably going to fall off your chair just a tiny bit. Again, it varies. But the best camera right now is just around $980. That's a pretty amazing thing, okay? I think a lot of people always go for cheap, right? They go for cheap because that's just what they do. They go for cheap. I think if they would have done their homework, so the biggest one that you see a lot of places right now, it's called the fisheye dome. And that camera is even a little more money. That camera is like around $1,400, but it's a fisheye dome, and it's a pretty cool camera. And you see them in a lot of places because it has the ability to give you this amazing panoramic ability by looking at the whole area, the whole 360, which before we weren't able to find cameras that could do 360 degrees. We could not find cameras that could do stuff like that. But more and more things are happening, and grants are being issued by the government. And any place you go now, you're going to see 360 cameras are like the staple of their operation. And you don't just see one. You see two, you see three, but according to the rule by Stephen Fisk, we take the number of corners and we divide them by 3. And that tells us basically the number of cameras that we need to have, the minimum number of cameras that we need to have to be able to see everywhere, whether it's a museum, whether it's a house, whether it's a building. That was pretty amazing. And to know that math, okay, is actually the secret, okay? A 50-year-old math problem by Stephen Fisk, who's actually a mathematics professor. That blew my mind. I always knew that math was great. I love math, but knowing that just a simple formula like that could have prevented this. Knowing that the cameras you have today become obsolete within a few years. And so you've got to remember the cameras have to get upgraded. Just like, you upgrade certain things in your home when they break, you need to upgrade. That's like a I'll call it I'll call it a consumable because cameras don't go bad overnight, they do go bad over time. And as new cameras come out, well, then now we've got a better way to look at that same area. Maybe we'll use less energy. Maybe we'll have a better PTZ, a pan tilt zoom, right? I think these are pretty amazing things. And now with many technologies like, being able to run on Cat 5, Cat 6, and if you don't have Cat 6 and you want to be able to change your coax, you can even use coax to convert into Cat 6, like Mocha adapters, things like that. But, really cool, really amazing. I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you to everybody for watching all of my shows, for making the choice to understand what's going on with technology. Our episodes release into the audio podcast usually within 24 hours. The JMOR Tech Talk Show started off just because I had this desire to share tech knowledge with people and educate people with things they may not know, but they should know to have a more enriched and, of course, safer life. So, of course, guys, for more unique content, I want you now at the end of the show here to visit believemeachieve.com, because if you do that, you're going to be able to get so much great content. You're going to be able to go through the show again. You'll learn about how this cyber heist basically took place if you missed any of it. And this week's wildest tech shakeups were pretty amazing. I mean, these are things you just could not make up, ladies and gentlemen. You could not make this up even if you tried. So I do tech talks, AI innovation, cybersecurity, future tech news, smart homes, AI trends, podcasts, life in the tech world, and innovation, tech buzz, and digital futures. Who am I, guys? I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. And like I said to you once before, it is such a privilege, a pleasure, and an honor to be with you here on the JMOR Tech Talk Show. When are we on? We're on every week, depending on where you're watching us, whether it's on TV, cable, whether it's on our show. But if you're trying to replay the show, just go to believemeachieve.com. You can go right to the JMOR Tech Talk Show on that page and pick the episode that you want. You can even search what you're looking for. I think you'll find there's some pretty interesting insights. Have some other great ones coming up next week, too. I don't want to let them out of the bag. I do want to take this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to wish you all a very great, healthy Thanksgiving, and we will talk to you real soon.